Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Work Matters. We've taken a break over the summer, and if you've been watching us for a while, you know that typically what we do is we interview members of our church who are doing really good work in the community. But as we've taken a break, several things have happened in our culture that I feel need some time and need some attention. And so I've invited three guests who are not part of our church as members here, but they are part of our community. They are part of the local Christian community, and they are part of the community that is doing really good work. And what is the big thing that has really come about this summer? The Dobbs decision, right? To overturn Roe v. Wade. So we have three special guests who have a lot to offer in this area. They work in the area of caring for men and for women and for the unborn. And I am thrilled to have the three of them here. My hope is that you will not only be informed, you will learn a little bit more about what they do, but you'll be inspired also to take action, and that you would discern through the leading of God's Spirit, that you would discern what role you might play in the life of men, in the life of women, in the life of the unborn. So thanks for joining us. You're in for a treat. Well, friends, welcome. Thank you for taking time to be here with us. Really thankful for the work that you do in the community. You've been doing good work. Your organizations have been doing good work for quite a while, and I'm really eager to learn more. I'm eager for our congregants to learn a little bit more as well, not only about you as individuals, but about your organization, what you do, and how they can get connected. So, Cindy, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how much you love to drive in North Carolina.
Yes. So where would I start? My name is Cindy Kouhout. I am the Executive Director of Pregnancy Support Services. It has been an honor to be here for the last almost 2 years now. And if your math is any good, you'll realize that I started in the middle of COVID, and running an organization and navigating all of that during a pandemic has been a challenge. Plus starting a new job, learning new staff. It's my first time working for a pregnancy center. So my goal for my first year was just to learn, observe, take it all in, and then hopefully move forward. So I am still in my second year learning, and I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to continue into my third year. But it really is an honor to be here. I love what I do. I am very passionate about the pro-life movement. We are right next door to Planned Parenthood. And whenever I feel like I need a light under myself, I remind myself that babies are being killed right next door. And if we could peel away the brick and mortar that is separating us, we would be mortified. And it reminds me of how important this work is every single day. When I go over there and I peek over on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday mornings, and I see the parking lot full, that means that there's a lot of darkness happening over there that day. So it keeps me motivated. This is not just a job. This is something that I believe is close to God's heart, and it's incredibly serious to me. So I try to do this job with a spirit of excellence, and I try to instill that in our staff, that this is not just a job, and not that we have to be perfect, but we do need to continue to carry that spirit of excellence, because this is close to God's heart, and I truly believe that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cindy. And for listeners, the Bible Church has had a long partnership with PSS, being instrumental in helping it get started many, many years ago. And we're so thankful for the ongoing partnership and work there. So, Cindy, thank you for the good work that you are doing. Lance, you are a globetrotter. You were sharing with us, born in England, lived in Canada, Florida. Where have you not lived? And tell us what you do, brother.
I haven't lived in Mississippi.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's not on my agenda to do so either. But I would like to visit Australia. I think that would be cool. I'd like to do that. So nod to Wendy there. I am Lance Jones, the Director of Education over here at Pregnancy Support Services, PSS. And no disrespect to Cindy, but I have the best job here because I oversee all of the programming and the education process of what we do. So I'm an educator by trade. I spent 20 years professionally in the classroom, working with mostly at-risk students, under-resourced kids. And what I found during my time there was most of the kids had issues. They were a result of what was going on with the parenting and what was going on with the home. And it was very frustrating because what I found is no matter how much energy and effort you put into trying to help the students, if the home wasn't impacted in a positive way, then you really wouldn't get very many results. There would be always, an exception here or two where kids were able to succeed despite what was happening in their home. But for the most case, most students who do not have a secure home life and they're dealing with some sort of issues at home, if that isn't addressed, if that isn't taken care of, then quite frankly, the child has very little chance of being successful. So it was one of those situations where I felt like we kept trying to, save the children that were downriver. And I think we need to move upriver, start working with parents. So that's how I became involved in this work. So being here at PSS, one of my chief functions is to work with the youth and help them to make healthy decisions with the relationships ed program that we have. And relationships education is just a program where we go into schools, we go into churches, youth groups, and we give presentations about how to make healthy decisions, how to make their relationships positive as opposed to negative. It's more than just sexual abstinence, and don't have sex. Of course, we are proponents of sexual abstinence, but we want to address the whole child, right? So we want to address them emotionally, mentally, not just physically and sexually. So that's exciting. It is getting more difficult to get into schools, especially public schools. I just believe that the enemy is working overtime, which only encourages me to work even harder as well, right? So that's one component of what I do. The other component that I'm super excited about is the parenting programming, specifically the fathering program that we do. Pregnancy centers, for the most part, for the last 40, 50 years, I think to their shame, have pretty much ignored fathers and ignored the men that are out there creating this situation. They haven't addressed them certainly equally, and they haven't addressed them consistently. So that is starting to change, and that's just not happening here at PSS, but all around the country. I just came from a conference in Phoenix for the CareNet organization, and they had a whole fatherhood track, and that was the first time that that's ever happened. That there was multiple workshops that addressed this issue about how to address fathers that are experiencing unexpected pregnancies. We do know, research bears out, and this has been consistent for years, that the number one influencer as to whether a woman will carry to term is not her education, not her home situation, not her parents or her mother. It's what the baby father wants to do. Most times when you get the father on board and you get the father determined to carry the pregnancy to term, that's what the woman will choose. So why haven't we been addressing this before? That's neither here nor there. We're here now. That's kind of our goal, to help the fathers feel included, help them to have a voice, and then help them feel prepared, right? So we want men to feel empowered to be more than just supportive, but to be active in the decision-making process, and then be active throughout the pregnancy and obviously post-birth of the child. So this is an exciting new world of programming that's happening in our education within pregnancy centers, and I'm just happy to be a part of it over here at PSS.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lance. Look forward to hearing more about that good work. Wendy, our friend from down under, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, how do we do the same thing after Lance? He's just covered it all. So. But yes, I'm Wendy Bonano, and I serve as the Executive Director of Gateway Women's Care in Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. I've been in this job as Executive Director for the past 10 years. Prior to that, I was running the main centre in Raleigh. And prior to that, all those who are listening and wondering what it is that they can do, I actually began as a volunteer. So in 2008, I was volunteering. And, God really touched my heart with this issue, because there is such a small window of time that we have, those of us that work in pregnancy centres, and Cindy and Lance will know there's such a small window of time that we have to catch that woman from the moment that she's had her pregnancy test to the moment she has that abortion. And so that is where Gateway Women's Care stands. We stand in that small window of time where we're seeking to reach the woman who's either made an abortion appointment or she's on her way to have an abortion. And so we're reaching her through our online marketing, getting her to come into our centres and working through that whole process with her. And, I never had a calling to the abortion issue when I grew up in Australia. It's much more quiet and under the radar in Australia. Here in the States, everything is loud and open and everyone's got opinions and they're intense and you're either for it or against it and no one talks to each other on either side. Where we come in is as a compassionate arm of the church, where we can serve these women who are in crisis, believe they have no options other than abortion, and we can speak into their life situation. We include the father of the baby, just as Lance was talking about. We've had numerous fatherhood coordinators here at Gateway Women's Care because that is an important factor in her decision making. And then we walk with her to equip her to live a thriving, sustainable life. It's really sad because one of the criticisms that the non-believing world casts on pregnancy centres is that we only quite care about that unborn baby, and that is just not true. And all of our centres, I would say to a T, we want to walk with that woman and beyond. And so we have committed ourselves to that part of a mum's process, and we have a client care manager on our team now. She's actually a woman who's had 30 years public health experience with Wake County Human Services. And so we serve each woman individually and help create her own personal care plan so that whatever it is that she needs, from the moment she comes to our centre to when the baby's born and to 12 months after, we're walking with her and empowering her so that she can live a thriving, sustainable life and lead her family and have her child. So I think that's kind of where we all are. We're all in that same niche and, willing to serve. We are not the activist arm. We're the compassionate, caring arm of this side of the abortion issue.
Wonderful, Wendy. Thank you, all three of you, for those great personal and organizational introductions. Wendy, you mentioned calling and that you didn't necessarily feel called to this when you were in Australia. I sense and I would imagine that you maybe now, and all three of you would feel maybe called to this work and feel like God is really at work through the work that you are doing. And Cindy, you've mentioned this a little bit as well about this being close to the heart of God. But could the three of you, could you just tell me a little bit more about like what inspires you to do this work? This is difficult work, right? The society, the world around us, they're not applauding you for the work that you're doing. They are saying lots of unkind things, ungracious things, and you are not. Think of the words of Jesus: "Blessed are those who are reviled, and who suffer in my name." And I imagine that your organizations are on the receiving end of some of that. So, what inspires you? What gets you out of bed in the morning to do this good but hard work that God's called you to do?
Who would you like to?
Whoever wants to go.
Well, I don't mind going first. I was nudged into volunteering. I was nudged into volunteering by someone at my church who actually worked at Gateway and Gateway Women's Care. I was looking for a real job. So I was looking for work. But what I had was a heart that cared. I had been in full-time ministry in Australia years before I came to the States. And that has always been a priority in my life, to want to serve the Lord and be where the Lord would have me. And so I respected this woman. I took those steps of volunteering, and it opened my eyes to something that I wouldn't have thought about And it changed my whole perspective on women who choose abortion and why they choose abortion. And what may not have begun as a calling, because I didn't grow up here in this country with the overtness of abortion and the culture that exists here in the States. The Lord has, it gets under your skin, and the Lord has confirmed 100-fold in my heart and mind that this is where He would have me be. And it really doesn't feel like a job. It really is a ministry where every day we get to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We are right on the precipice of death, and we are there standing beside women trying to pull them back and save that unborn life and save her from what she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. And so the passion far outweighs the bank account and, it being a job.
Yeah.
And so being able to every day know that what I'm doing has a true significance and ramifications it's a wonderful place to be instead where God would have me be.
So I don't mind going next. And I can mirror a lot of what Wendy said. I think one of the, obviously we're right next to Planned Parenthood, so we see every day the cars going in and the women going in and then the women coming out, which is, it's hard to see. I think the most emotional or passionate that I get and is when I hear somebody who is 50, 60 years old coming into our office and saying, when I was a teenager, I had an abortion. Or when I was a teenager, I had my girlfriend get an abortion. And I don't think people realize the impact that it has on you emotionally, spiritually. There are studies that show that women that have abortions or men who are affected by abortion as well fall into negative patterns, whether it's overeating, whether it's alcohol, drugs, anger, resentment, that unresolved grief that they're going through, and they don't even understand what they're going through because Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics will say, this will solve your problem. This will fix everything. You can have your life back. It'll just take a little time. Or now have a chemical abortion. Take these 2 pills. You can go home. You can go to your dorm room and do it all by yourself. And it is devastating to people. So we care about babies, obviously, but we also care about that woman and that man that don't even know what they're entering into. I saw a study recently that said when women go through post-abortive ministry, when they get that healing, and it is a process. We have an individual who does our post-abortion ministry who will say, every time I go through it, I get another level of healing. That onion keeps getting peeled away because God is never done with us. So I see that side of it. I see the hurt and the damage that abortion brings to the woman and to the man that is also involved, to grandparents who don't want their child to get an abortion and know that their grandbaby was aborted. The devastation isn't just to the baby. Yes, it ends a life, which is tragic, but it also affects the mom and the dad, grandparents, people that we don't even think about. So that's why I love working at PSS, because obviously we care. We want that baby saved, but we also know the devastation that that woman is going to go through. So when we have somebody leave our office and we're not sure if she's going to carry to term, or we suspect that she might be just giving us the answers we want to hear, but we have a feeling she's going to have an abortion, we continue to reach out to her. We continue to call her. We tell her, how are you? Are you okay? Can we pray for you? Is there anything that you need? We don't shut the door because she's chosen an abortion. So that is, one of the things I love about PSS is that we just continue to reach out to her regardless of her choice. I look at her like the one that Jesus left the flock for. We have to continue to reach out to her because she is lost. She thinks she's got it all solved. She thinks she's got it figured out, but she's really deceived. And that's, for me, that's the saddest part.
Yeah.
Well, those are hard acts to follow. So I'm going to spin a different direction and just, you asked Roddy about my calling, and that's something I very specifically remember. It's been a couple of decades at this point. But I remember when I was teaching at a high school, I mentioned I worked with at-risk students, and some of those students were at risk because they were, sexually active, and they were at risk to, create an unexpected pregnancy situation. There was a young man that I was working with, and he was just a jovial, very, very happy, one of those class clown kids, but not in a mean-spirited way, in a very positive, happy way. Anyway, this is a rather long story, so I'm going to shorten it for you a little bit here. But I ran into this particular student, and for about a week, I noticed that there was a sharp decline in the amount of joy that he had. So he was really on the precipice of feeling very depressed. So I prayed about it, and I would go and sit with him at lunch, and this happened 3 days in a row. He just wouldn't speak. He wouldn't say anything, which is very unlike this student. Finally, on the fourth day, I'm sitting with him, and I'm like, I'm tired of missing lunch. What are we doing here? Why are you so depressed and disappointed and whatnot? And he told me something that broke my heart, and it literally changed my life. My life changed in that moment. He said that he was trying to figure out a way to go home and convince his girlfriend that she had to have an abortion. And at the time, I had just had my second child. Well, I didn't have, my wife had, but we had just had our second child. And so I had a 4-month-old baby at home, and I couldn't imagine my life without that child. And so we had a discussion that day, and it really boiled down to this. He was a 17-year-old young man that felt ill-equipped to raise a child. He didn't feel that he was financially positioned. He didn't feel that he was parentally positioned. He didn't feel he had the family support that he needed. He literally turned to me and said, I don't have one man in my life that I could turn to and say, how do I, any of this stuff that a father should know? It really broke my heart. It changed me. I went into some serious prayer, and I just kind of said, God, you have to do something. No man should feel ill-equipped and not have a resource to turn to where he can become equipped to become the kind of parent he wants to be. That the other choice, and the ladies that spoke before me spoke to this already, that they really feel that that's the best option. Not the option that they necessarily want, but they feel it's the best option. And so I said, you have to do something about this, Lord. You have to send somebody. And he said, I am sending somebody. I'm sending you. So that's how I got involved in this parenting work. And I've never looked back. I love it. It's been fantastic. I will say this, that story has a very happy ending, because a year later, Daquan was able to graduate, and he came back with his girlfriend, his fiance. And he had with him bundled up is his little daughter in a beautiful little yellow dress. And I just thought this is the kind of work that we need to be doing. I mean, math is important, and reading Shakespeare is great, but this is the kind of work that we need to be doing. So that's how I got involved. That's where my calling was. And I get to be a part of that story again and again and again. One of the things that is such a blessing about the work that we do is there's so many moments of insecurity, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen, what ultimate decisions are going to be. But we do get those happy endings, right? We do get those children that the enemy had marked for death, and that God, has used us to be a part of the process of turning them from darkness to light, and literally from death to life. So those are the wins that we get, but they're such big wins. They're such huge wins that they make all of that, what we do, worthwhile. So that's kind of how I got involved in this work and what my calling is. And I'd like to say this, I think it's easy for those of us that have been in the church, especially if you've been in the church for a while, become judgmental because it seems so foreign, the concept that this would be the best option, or anyone could look and think that ending or terminating a pregnancy is the best way to go about handling this kind of situation. It seems so foreign to us. But these aren't bad people. These are people who feel stuck. Right. These are not people who are evil. They didn't do this on purpose. They don't get any joy or pleasure from it. These are people who feel cornered. These are people who feel stuck. They feel like this is not the option that they want, but it's the best option. Especially for a man. I mean, imagine a man who is, he's already got 3 children, maybe with other mothers, and now he's got another child on the way, and he feels stressed and he feels stretched. And he feels like he just can't support another child coming into the world. For him, I can see how that would feel like the best option, but we have a God, right, who does provide, who does supply, who does give answers. So my job is just to point to the one who is the answer. I don't have to have the answer. I just have to point to the one who does. So that's a long version of why we do and why I do what I do.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and look forward to hearing the story, the longer version, at some point as well, because that is really beautiful. What are some of the challenges that the three of you perceive right now, or some of the main challenges in this cultural moment? Maybe not only. I'm curious about your organization, like what are the challenges your organizations are facing, but also as you perceive, like for an individual Christian who cares about these issues, like what are some of the challenges that are coming our way?
Now, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that is when people come in, and it goes along with what Lance said about not being judgmental. Because when people come into our offices, they come with a basket full of stuff. I am overwhelmed just talking with them sometimes. It's overwhelming. And I think to myself, I get to go home to my nice little life and my nice little home. They have, there's sometimes domestic abuse. There are sometimes serious economic challenges. The rents and prices of homes right now are astronomical. A gallon of gas is 2 to 3 times what it was a year ago. So when they think that their only option is abortion, I'm not agreeing with them for sure, but I can understand how they get to that point, especially if they are not believers. And I will confess and be transparent with you that I was pro-choice in my 20s. I believed all of the your body, your choice, and I wanted to say this when Lance was talking, because that has taken the man completely out of the picture. God's design for a family, Planned Parenthood, if you want to give them any credit at all, that marketing tactic has worked wonderfully. And I hate it because of that, because it's truly evil, it's conniving, and it's deceptive. But that has really worked well because it's given man a pass and said, well, it's your body, it's your choice. So, your decision. So yeah, I really think some of the challenges are just the world right now and the economy right now, and everything is hostile and everything is, like Wendy was saying, nobody, if you're not on my side, I'm not even going to talk to you. And that's so divisive. That's what the enemy wants, is for us not to talk and not communicate. So one of the things that PSS has done to hopefully help in that situation is that we've hired a case manager, providing case management services to our most challenging clients. So not everybody needs a case manager, but if you need help with your Medicaid application, we're not going to do it with you or for you, but we are going to make the appointment. We're going to go with you. We're going to walk with you through that process. We are going to walk with you through the process of finding a doctor. We are going to walk with you through the process of helping you to fill out a job application. How do I do a resume? What do I do if my baby is crying all night? Parenting classes. So we are really trying to take those barriers out that make someone think that abortion is the only option. And I think that those challenges are going to be more and more with the way our world seems to be going. I hope that we turn around, but I'm not sure. I don't know what the future holds for America, and I'm not sure that life is going to get easier going forward. So I think abortion, unfortunately, is going to continue to be a viable option for people, which means we have to be even more diligent about the work that we do.
So I don't want to repeat, because a lot of it is similar, because we do similar things. But I think a really big challenge now post-Roe is the mail order abortion pill. So getting to real specifics, that North Carolina is now an abortion haven state. So very soon, even probably as far west as Texas, the states around North Carolina will have fully banned or 6-week ban or partially maybe 15-week ban abortion. So women in those states will be looking to North Carolina as to where they'll get their abortion. And so they are actually searching online in North Carolina. So we have started serving clients from South Carolina. We've even had a client in Iowa who works with the airport and wants to fly in for an appointment. And so the challenge for the pregnancy centers, the challenge for us to face is that a woman can now sit at home. She doesn't have to come to North Carolina for an abortion. She can sit at home. She can order the abortion pill online and have it sent directly to her home. Now, there's a lot of danger inherent in that. And women are taking the abortion pill at home. They haven't been to a doctor. They haven't had an ultrasound to see how far along they are. And so the challenge for us is we are seeking to reach that woman now who is going to order the mail order abortion pill. And we had a woman come to us just 2 weeks ago. She was in her 40s. She was married, didn't want another child. She had ordered the abortion pill. It came straight to her mailbox. She took the first dose of pills and cramping, bleeding. She took the second dose, same thing, cramping, bleeding. But then she was just not feeling right. She was not feeling normal. Now, I'll tell you, and everyone that's listening, so that you know, the FDA has approved the abortion pill to be used up to 10 weeks gestation. It used to be 7 weeks. Under the Obama administration, the FDA lengthened that time period up to 10 weeks. Abortion clinics stretch it to 10 weeks, 6 days. But this woman, when she came to Gateway and we finally did the ultrasound, she was 17 weeks pregnant. She was out of the first trimester, in the second trimester, headed towards her third trimester, and without any medical intervention, she had gone online and ordered, because that's what she's hearing is her right, and it's safe and expedient, and you don't need to even go to the abortion clinic. So that's a frightening thing. So I would say that the statistics are close to 60-65% of all abortions now are through the abortion pill, the medical abortion that Cindy mentioned. So that really is a challenge, to reach those women, to engage them in a conversation that makes them stop and think again. And so we are kind of taking this challenge head on, and we are introducing telecare appointments so that we can serve these women that are contacting us from states outside of North Carolina, and that we can do the process, the gateway process through that telecare appointment if she's not going to come in, and then partner with a pregnancy centre near her where she can go for the ultrasound and get that confirmation. So that's a big challenge, I think, for pregnancy ministries moving forward, if we're really trying to get in there and break the cycle of abortion, women choosing abortion. And abortion is such a diminishing, a woman diminishing option, because the abortion industry is saying you don't have the ability, you don't have the drive, you don't have what it takes to be a mother and still have a reasonable life. And that's a lie. because Cindy would see it every day and we see it every day, that when you give women a different perspective and they can see a different perspective to their life situations, they begin to problem solve, they begin to see past the wall of fear of the immediate crisis, and they begin to make plans and resolve what was at one moment a crisis that she just had to get rid of. To now, I'm making a plan, I've got support, I've got people in my corner, I believe that I can do this. And that's what pregnancy ministries do. We try to give that woman that pause, just slow down, think about what you're going to do, and let's see what answers and solutions that we can come up with. So that is the big challenge now for pregnancy centers in the post-Roe America.
Lance, I'm really curious. Cindy mentioned, and I was thinking about this too, the my body, my choice, and how that removes the man from the equation. How do you deal with that as a man ministering broadly, but also to men?
Typically, that statement comes in two forms. In one form, I think in the lesser form or the worst case scenario, it comes as for the man to excuse to say, I don't have a part to play in this, right? So it gives the man a chance to abdicate his responsibility for the situation that he has placed this woman. It's a convenient exit for him. I think that's kind of a worst case scenario. I do see that. But I also see guys that are genuine in the sense that they want to support the woman to whom they've impregnated. They want her to feel that he's not just kind of rough riding over her, that he's not dominating her, that he's not being, some sort of toxic masculinity situation here. He wants her to feel supported. But saying so does mute his voice, right? And she's looking for his voice, right? Even when she doesn't articulate it subconsciously, I believe she's looking for, are you with me in this or not? Are we in this together? So when he says, hey, it's your body, your choice, what she's hearing is, this is all on you, right? This is your decision, and you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your decision by yourself. Even if he goes on to explain that, if you want to have this, I'm kind of there. But when if he doesn't say, hey, I want this child, if he can't affirm for her that he's positive that this is the direction of what he wants, what she's hearing is, you're on your own and you're going to have to deal with it, right? And she's scared at some point she's going to say, hey, you wanted this child, I didn't. I was just supporting you. Now it's your problem, your situation, and I'm walking away. So those are the two primary concerns that I have with that statement. And I think in some cases it's genuine, but in other cases I think it's just it gives men an easy excuse to exit a situation that they created.
Yeah, that's really good, really helpful. Thank you for that. Briefly, Lance, one of the biggest challenges maybe you're facing in your area of work?
Briefly, I think one of the things that I'm challenged with is and it's not just to me. I think the church, large C, universal, has somehow become misrepresented, and those that are not in the church or of the church or believe in the church feel that Christians, particularly, are against abortion, and that's where the story ends, right? And I think that's somewhat true. We are against abortions, but we're not just against abortions. We are pro-life. But what that means is we are pro-abundant life. What that means is we are pro-family. We're not just into, don't have an abortion, nor are we into, look at us, there's X amount of babies that have been born because of the work that we've done. We want to empower families to become whole. We want entire families to thrive. So it's not just about a baby being born, but it's about a mother being supported so that she can thrive. It's about a father supporting her family, supporting her kids so that they could thrive as a unit. God is pro-family. He's not just pro-baby or just pro-birth, right? So there's a lot that's to it. That's why I smiled when you said briefly. Yeah. There's a lot that needs to be added to that. But I think one of the things that we can do that your family at Bible Church and all of our churches can do is we can proactively work against being saddled with that reputation or being saddled with that view. And that's done on an individual level, right? We need to be those ones that are in the lives of those lost people that say all Christians are like just, they're just for birth, or they're just anti-abortion, and say, no, this is really what we are. And then put our money, put our energy, put our activities where our mouth is, and actually support those people. And actually be supportive and meet that father for coffee that doesn't know what he's doing, and go with shopping with that mother that needs groceries. Those are the kinds of things that we can do corporately as a church, but also individually to fight against the stereotype that we've been labeled with that's just not accurate to who we are as believers in Christ.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Super helpful. So we are about to land the plane here. But you have millions of adoring fans of this podcast. You have their attention. What are some ways that they can partner with your organization, both in growing and in acting? And maybe let's go back to the starting order. So we'll go Cindy, Lance, and then Wendy.
So there's a variety of ways that you can help support PSS. The first and foremost, the most important, I would say, is to pray for us. Your prayers do not go unheard by the Lord. We have seen him do miraculous things here at PSS. So I know that he hears our prayers. We do various fundraisers. We do baby bottle campaigns. We have people, even small groups in churches, who want to do diaper drives or maternity clothes drives, maybe setting up an Amazon wish list of baby supplies and then putting it on your Facebook page and having your friends support that cause. We've had people for their birthday do a fundraiser. Instead of getting me a gift, can you do a donation to PSS? So those are a lot of ways that you can help support us in more of a passive way. Not everybody is cut out to be a volunteer or a client advocate, although we need those people. We need those people as well. So even something as simple as liking us on Facebook. So if you have 300 friends and they have 300 friends, it multiplies so much. So when you see our posts every week, you're liking them, you're sharing them. That's a huge help to us. It seems like such a little thing. It takes 5 seconds, but it's huge. And then what I would say for the church, if I could add one more thing, is so 54% of women getting abortions say that they're Christians and they've been to church within the last month. When you ask those 54%, how many of them felt comfortable going to their church leadership or their youth group leader? 2% said yes. So my challenge for the church is, how do you create an environment where if somebody does have an unplanned pregnancy, that they go to you before they go to Planned Parenthood or before they go to Google and look up abortion. That would be my challenge, is how do you create that environment in your church where you're not one of those that's only 2% of your young ladies feel comfortable going to the leadership. And who would that person be in your church that says, hey, if you want to talk, I'm the one, come to me, I can help you and support you and guide you, and most importantly, just listen. Yeah,
that's really good. And for the record, come talk to me. I'd be happy to be part of that journey with people.
Awesome.
Thank you, Cindy. Lance?
Yeah, sure, Roddy. So one of our big pushes, one of the things that we desperately need is, about the fathering program that we're working with men, is we need men that will step up and be willing to be mentors and coaches. And that doesn't have to be an all-consuming 24/7 kind of dedicate your life to this pursuit. But it's amazing how when an older man intentionally makes time for a younger man, especially in the pursuit of parenting and fathering, and say, hey, listen, I'm your go-to guy. I'm the person that you can call at 9:30 when the baby won't stop crying. I'm the one that can sit down with you and say, hey, you got a baby on the way and you feel like you're financially tapped and already stressed. Hey, let's sit down and see if we can get some creative ways to work with your budget. or hey, if you know, maybe I can help you fill out an application. We can get you a better training or get you a better job. Maybe you're underemployed. To have a man that will come and meet those needs and be willing to just talk them through. Doesn't even have to solve them. Doesn't have to have all of the answers, but just be willing to mentor and walk through the guy. That is so significant. Those of you that are watching, and I can attest for myself. I mean, when I was 35 years old and trying to, buy my second house, I called my father. He was one of the first calls that I made to say, hey, these are the numbers. This is what I'm looking for. Is this a good deal? And I was a 35-year-old man. So, when an older man is willing to mentor and willing to say, hey, I'm willing to engage with you and become part of your life. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to meet every need that you have, but I'm willing to walk with you through the process. That is such a significant help. That's one of the things I would love to see happen. I'd love to see men who are willing to go to their men's groups or go to their small groups or go to their bowling teams or whatever, and just be willing to have these discussions. Just be willing to say, hey, who is it that's in our circle? Who is it that at our job? Who is it that's, at church that we can speak to about this issue and that we can be supportive and that we can be there for them? Those are the kinds of things that I think that anyone can do. Doesn't require a special training, doesn't require a master's degree. All it requires is that you love Jesus and be willing to love people in very practical ways. That would be fabulous. If we can get that done, that would be very helpful, I think.
Amen. Thank you. Wendy?
Yeah. Well, Roddy, I just want to say thank you first off that you are giving us this opportunity to talk to people at Chapel Hill Bible Church. And so I want to say ditto, so I don't take up a lot of time. I want to say same as above. For Cindy and Lance, it's the same for Gateway Women's Care, so I won't repeat all of those. But probably if there's someone listening to this who God has touched their heart and they want to do something, I would say to them, get in touch with Roddy, but get in touch with us. Rather than me talking about the myriad of ways to get involved, take that next step. If the Lord is pricking your heart, don't just sit on it, act on it, and get in touch with us, in contact with us, and we can guide and direct. There are a couple of ways that a church can become a pregnant woman-friendly church. Making Life Disciples is a program. It's an amazing program that church members can go through. It's church-led. The leaders at the church would have the program to teach that. And it educates a congregation on the whole abortion issue, where they can plug in and how they can get involved. So it creates an atmosphere in the church that's receptive to post-abortive women, to women that are needing support from a church. So that's one positive thing that a church can look at. A second is an organization, and it's a church-based program. It's called Embrace Grace. Embrace Grace was started in Texas. It is a church-based program where pregnancy centers can send their pregnant single women so that they can be embraced by the body believers in that church. There's an 8-week program with classes and values teaching and that kind of thing that helps lead that woman towards a faith in Jesus. And we've sent clients there, and we've had a number of those clients come to Christ through that situation. But it is an empowering opportunity both for that woman to be loved by believers in a church and for her to come within the realm of a church that's going to support her. And at the end of it, you do fun things like you have a baby shower at the end. One of the local churches here in Raleigh that did it, they brought in glamour shots and they dressed the girls up in makeup and hair and nails. And, they would never have had pregnancy shots and beautiful photos like that to take with them. And it seeks to encourage her, build her up, and lead her to Christ. So those two things are excellent practical ways. And then I would just say, if someone wants to get involved, then contact us. We served over 1,000 women and men last year across our 3 centres. And so we are always looking for client advocates. And because we're new in Chapel Hill, this is a great opportunity, Roddy, for people to hear about Gateway's need there for women and men that are willing to be trained so that they can sit down with that individual and help lead them through the decision-making process.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Wendy, for your time. Not only your time now, but the time that you've put in to become good at what you do and effective in training and recruiting. And friends, those of you watching, There will be email contact information for our 3 panelists, so you can reach out to them directly. If you have any questions, want to just send them a note of encouragement, want to learn more about how you can participate. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Blessings.
Thanks for having us. God bless.
You too.